Happy Sunday, beautiful people. Yay, I'm back at the prison. Oh, let me tell y'all what happened. I saw this once. I just came back from my walk. But let me show you this pond. I think it needs the thing that makes it clear out a little bit, but look at the fishies. There's a whole bunch of them in there. That's the only one you can see. And I don't have the fish food flakes, or you could really see them. Let's see. Where are they? Oh, let me go around this way. Oh, can you see them? I don't want to drop my phone in the water because I'm definitely not going to get in there and get my phone out. But there's a whole bunch of fish in here. I don't know, you can't really see them because the water, it's a cloudy day and the water's a little murky. But yeah, so this morning I was up on the deck and I was on the phone, and I'm like, why? I was like, what is that big black rock? I feel like I never saw this big black rock. So, guess what? Turns out it's not a rock at all. It was a big toad. A big giant toad. And I knew there was a toad here, but I didn't know. He lives right. He's where this pump thing is over here. He's usually hanging out around there. Yeah, but I actually saw Mr. Toad this morning. What are y'all doing? Happy Sunday. Just finished my walk. And I was listening to Victoria Osteen's word of the day thing today. It was so good today. So by the way, you guys, I'm not an affiliate or anything like that for them. I'm just telling y'all about something good. She has a new book out, and so when you give a donation of any amount, you can get her free book. So, that's awesome. I love that they do that. Because the truth is, I know a lot of people think, preachers and teachers and whatever, pastors are not supposed to have any money. That's not from the Bible. I don't know who made that up. A lot of stuff that Christians have adopted. I'm not talking about MAGA. I'm not talking about MAGA or hateful or people that are supposed to be Christians but they actually hate everybody. Not them. I'm talking about real Christians. There's nothing in the Bible about being broke, busted, and disgusted. That is all. A lot of that came out of the Catholic Church. I don't want to have a whole big discussion on religion, but a lot of that came out of the Catholic Church. There's nothing in the Bible about pastors and leaders being broke, busted, and disgusted. As a matter of fact, it's actually the opposite. Did y'all know? Bible fact. Did y'all know that there's more in the Bible about people having money and how to manage money and be a good steward of your resources and how to take the money you have and invest it in an increase and how to be a good business person and all these principles. It's amazing. All the stuff that's in the Bible about money, but people got it twisted. That whole vow of poverty and all that stuff, that came directly out of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, I'm not telling y'all what to believe. I'm just telling you to look it up for yourself. Go see what things happen, what things are changed. Even some of the holidays that Christians traditionally celebrate, like Christmas and Easter and things like that, those are not biblical holidays. What happened is when they were trying to get the Catholics, they weren't Catholics, but there were people in Rome and different places that were pagans to become Christians. It was almost like a compromise, like, okay, you're already celebrating this holiday for this God, so we're going to take the holidays that you're celebrating for your gods, small g gods, and we're going to incorporate them into Christianity. And that was one of the ways they got people to convert to Christianity. That's a whole big thing. I don't want to get into all of that, but that's what it was. Well, actually, a different type of Catholicism. Look it all up. But anyway, telling y'all today, You're not supposed to be broke, busted, and disgusted. God never intended you to have a poverty mindset or a poverty bank account. He actually commanded us to be fruitful and multiply and go. See, think about this when you think about people that don't like mega churches. What you think heaven's going to look like? Some of y'all going to be mad. You'll be mad when you get to heaven. If that's what you believe, you're going to go to heaven. And there's tons of people there. Millions of people there. You're going to be mad because you don't like mega churches. I think that's one of the silliest things that I've heard. Now, everything, big churches, little churches, the small back in the woods, hole in the wall churches, they have corrupt pastors and people in the church and all of that kind of stuff. So guess what? That's not every church. That's not everywhere you go. There's corrupt people in anything. The Bible tells you that too. Humans have corrupt things in us. Now, we can do things to change it. We can work towards being a better person, but that doesn't mean those things don't exist. If they happen in the church, every single thing that happens out in the world happens in the church. People lie, people cheat, people steal, people... Where the heck go? Hey, I just took it off because I got back in the house and it was too dark because it's it's overcast. So anyway, there was corrupt people in the church, just like there's corrupt people in the world. Every single thing you have in the world, you have in the church. People committing adultery and stealing and lying and cheating and all this other stuff that people are aware of. The sin, yeah, it happens. But like I said, Victoria Osteen has, hey Abel, good morning, has this new book out that's really good. I just listened to her word of the day, or whatever it's called, something like that. Anyway, I put it on my page if you want to listen to it. I think it's like 12 minutes. It's on YouTube, so here's a trick for YouTube. If you go to your settings, you can speed it up to 2 times. I usually listen to everything at 1.5 speed or 2 times speed. All right, so anyway, she has a book. You can get it, brand new book, that you can get it for any amount. Any donation you make, you'll get a copy of her free book. You just have to go to their website and ask for it. But here's the other thing I was saying is she could sell that book easily. People would pay $30 for that book because she wrote it. They know that the book, she writes really good books, number one. Number two, she gives you principles for life that you can use in your everyday life. So people would pay $30 for that book. I wouldn't have paid $30 for books. I paid $50 for an ebook because this book that I had, it was a compilation of all these people that I wanted to learn from that had all put stuff into this book. So anyway, my point I'm making is people are like, well, she should just give the books away. How do you think she's going to make these books and print these books and ship these books? Don't you know there's other people that are doing that? Don't you know there's the publishing house or wherever where they actually put the books together? These are hardback books. Do you know how much all of that costs, the labor for somebody to do that? So why should she give it away for free? Again, the Bible, people who get Christianity and having money mixed up is because they don't know their Bible. Like I said, there's way more in the Bible about money than there is about salvation. So that tells you how important it is. Now, that doesn't mean you don't need to be saved. Of course you do. You need to confess, with your heart that Jesus is Lord. You need to accept him into your heart, and you need to be born again. Now, that doesn't mean as soon as you become a Christian, life is perfect, everything is great, you never have any trouble. As my godfather, Ivy Hilliard, says, it's not, being a Christian doesn't give us insurance against trouble. It gives us assurance in trouble that God will always make a way of escape. So no matter what you're going through, God will always be there for you. He will always come through. There will always be a way for you to get out of whatever situation you're in. So now back to Victoria, yeah, this whole broke, busted, and disgusted coming up the rough side of the mountain. Everybody struggling. Grandmommy and great-grandmommy and all of them was broke, busted, and disgusted. Everybody's been on 19 generations of welfare and all this stuff. That is not God's best. That, don't get me wrong. You can be broke, busted, and disgusted and go to heaven, right? You can go be with God whenever it's time for you to go. But it doesn't mean that you have to live that way. Living that way is a choice. So, now if you've been praying and you've been asking God for a way for you to make, hi! If you have been praying and you've been looking for a way for you to make some more income, for you to get out of whatever predicament you may be in. That big old toad was over there this morning. I thought it was a rock. And I was like, I don't remember a big black rock like that. It was the big old toad. This is my daughter, my son-in-law came back. But anyway, so yeah, God never designed us to be broke, busted, and disgusted, coming up the rough side of the mountain, acting like we've been baptized in pickle juice. You know, but if you've been looking for a way to make some money, to get out of whatever financial struggle, because a lot of times when we're struggling with things, mentally, emotionally, physically, family things, it's because there is a financial need that's causing strain. Do you know most marriages break up because of money? Right, most marriages break up because of money, because there's not enough, or people thought whatever they thought, or whatever, but it doesn't have to be that way, you guys. So, like I said, I'm not an affiliate or anything for Joel and Victoria Osteen. I'm not their advocate, but I am telling you, she has a great new book out. It's awesome. Go to their website and get it at, I don't know what it's called. If you do, what's the name of their site? I don't know, but if you put in Joel Osteen Ministries, then it'll come up and you'll see the book I'm talking about. Also, I was watching a video, so I shared it on my page. So if you watch the video on YouTube, it'll tell you exactly where to go to get her book. But I'm just telling you, yeah, make a difference in your life today. Do something different. Do some things to help somebody else, right? Even making a little video or putting a little post up where you're telling somebody, you know, I hope you have a good day today. If you need somebody to pray with you, I'll pray with you. Hey, Caldwell Wayne, welcome. Mr. Glenzel, get him apple. That's my Bible boy right there. Hey, Lavelle. Hey, Levan. Hey, Mr. Poetry Man. How are you, my friend? How are you? We still got to get together and do some poetry. I don't know what we're waiting for, man. We got to do this. We've been talking about it for too long, so let's do that. But anyway, so yeah. If you've been looking for a way to get some income, to make a difference, I mean, maybe $100 a week would change your life. Maybe $300 would. What if you just had an extra $300 a month? Maybe that would help. So you can go right to the link in my bio or go to my website. It's teampaydaily.com. I'm going to put it in the chat. You can go over there and you can check it out because I have a free guide for you too. So it's free, costs you absolutely nothing. And maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. But what if it is? What if it's for you? What if it is like for all the people that are around the world that are trying to, because we have a global community. It's almost 60,000 people. And every single one of us had to do the same thing. We saw somebody talking about this program and how they could use it to make income from their phone in 2 hours a day. And they're like, I'm going to do that. Let me put my website in here. And I'm going to put my hat back on so this man can see my hat. Alright, let me put this in. It's actually my daughter's hat. And I'm getting ready to move, so I've been packing and all this kind of stuff. But I just wanted to hop on here and give y'all a little word of encouragement today. You know, we were meant to live a good life. If you don't believe me, go look in the Bible, right? Go look in the Bible. We were not designed to be broke, busted, and disgusted. You know, the father of 3 different religions, right? The father of Islam, the father of Judaism, and the father of Christianity was Abraham, right? Now, some people say Abraham, but his son Ishmael, right? His son Ishmael is actually the person that the Islamic religion came from, right? So, do you know that the Bible says Abraham wasn't just rich? Abraham was very rich, very rich. Abraham was so rich, in fact, that when he left, and when he moved from the Ur of the Chaldees to where God told him to go, right? He had so much land and cattle and servants and property that when his nephew that he brought with him, Lot, that God told him don't bring Lot, but he brought a lot with him anyway. So some of y'all are bringing a lot with you from different situations, relationships. And I had my hat on, baby boo. Now I'm taking it off. This is Katie's hat. It was super sunny, but now the sun went down. Not down, but in. So anyway, so he was so rich that when God told him send Lot away, they started dividing up the land. He told Lot, take whatever you want. So Lot took most of the good. He took the best land, right? But then what happened, what God did, because Abraham was like, no, you can't have the best land. That's mine. Nope, he was like, okay, take the land that you want. Take the cattle that you want. Take the things that you want. And he did. And you know what? God then multiplied Abraham even more. So, obviously, it's not a sin for you to be rich. Also, God told people in the Bible to borrow, like the lady with the oil, right, with the sons, and they were coming to lock her sons up and put them in prison. And she said, the prophet came, and he told her, you know, she said, well, I don't have anything. I just have this little bit of oil, but they're coming to take my sons away, because in those days, if your debts weren't paid, they would take your kids. And her husband died. She said, you know, my husband was a good man. He did all the things he was supposed to do. And she said, the prophet was like, I think it was Elijah. And he said, what do you have in the house? She's like, I don't have anything in the house. I ain't got nothing. Like some of us discount what we have, right? Because it's a little bit. And she said, I don't have anything. And then she said, well, all I have is a little thing of oil. He told her to go borrow from all your neighbors their vessels. Right? So we would say pots, pans, cups, you know, pitchers, whatever can hold oil. Go borrow all the vessels you can borrow. So then she went to go borrow, her sons went and they got all these vessels from the neighbors and wherever. They're like, hey, John, y'all got, you know, do you got some pots over there we can borrow? Sally, do you got like I don't know, you got a pitcher like for Kool-Aid or something we can borrow? This is the Kara version. And so the neighbors gave them everything they had. They gave them all their pots, vessels, vases, whatever, everything. And so then the prophet told her, okay, so when you get all this stuff, so he said, well, go borrow more. She said, there's no more vessels. And he said, okay, go in the house, close the door, and start pouring out the oil. Now remind you that the first thing he told her to do was to borrow the vessels. So borrowing is not a sin. You'll hear some people say like, oh, the Bible does say the borrower is servant to the lender, but that's why you should be a lender. If it was a sin for you to be a lender, like when you go to banks and credit unions and friends or whoever who's going to lend you, if it was a sin for you to be a lender, then God would not tell you to be a lender. Y'all gotta think about this, right? So she borrowed the vessels. God told her, okay, the prophet told her, go in the house, close the door, now start pouring out the oil. Now, mind you, she only has a little thing of oil. Like, let's just say I had a water bottle, like a little water bottle worth of oil. She starts pouring out the vessels. So you can imagine, like, they're in the kitchen, in the house, and all these things to collect water or whatever, cooking, pots, pans, everything. And she starts pouring the oil out. And she keeps pouring and pouring. And the oil kept pouring out, right? And then when she got to the last vessel, it says after she poured it all out, the oil stayed, which means after she poured out the oil, it all stopped. So imagine you have a little water bottle, right? Like a 16-ounce water bottle like I had for my water. And you start pouring out into maybe 100 different pots and pans, like pots or pitchers for Kool-Aid and that type of thing. And it keeps pouring, it keeps pouring, it keeps pouring, right? You would be like, what in the world? That's a miracle. So then, guess what he told her to do next? This is when the prophet put her in business, right? So again, business, having money, borrowing, lending is not a sin. The prophet then puts her in business. He says, take the oil, you and your sons take the oil and sell it. Now you sell it to the neighbors, because here's what you got to think too. If she didn't have any oil, then her neighbors probably didn't have a lot of oil either. They had all these empty vessels. So they took the oil and they sold it to the neighbors. So that's how she got put into business, by selling this oil. So the point I'm making is, y'all, I'm telling you, marriage is the number one cause of divorce, the number one cause of breakups and relationships and things like that is money, but it's the number one cause of divorce. And because sometimes people get stressed, they get frustrated, they if you have a spouse that is like hot-tempered, one or the other, they may become abusive. Even if not physically, they may become verbally and psychologically. Well, if you didn't spend the money on this thing, and you didn't spend the money, then people start sneaking and hiding money, and then one spouse doesn't trust the other spouse with the money, so they go out and get credit cards or whatever. I just was watching something about that the other day. And they go get credit cards that the other spouse doesn't know about, and so they're still running up this debt that affects the family. And so this is why God never commanded us to be broke. He never commanded us to be broke, busted, and disgusted. Jesus was not broke, busted, and disgusted. Read the Bible, okay? So people try to use this one scripture in the Bible. When Jesus was telling the disciples to go with him, and he said, leave everything behind and come with me, and I'll make you fishers of men, right? And he told them to leave all their stuff and come with him. Now, Paul was a doctor. I think Matthew or Luke was a doctor. There was like two doctors. One of them was like a lawyer. These were not people that didn't have anything. They had businesses. They had a fishing business. So these were people that were not all just, some poor vagabonds that left everything. So it was a big deal for them to leave everything they had to follow Jesus. It would be easy for these people to just get up and leave and go, all right, Jesus, cool, I'm going, I don't got nothing here anyway. That would be easy. Anybody could do that because you don't have anything. Hey, at least if I go hang out with the Jesus crew, he probably going to feed us. Let's see, he going to feed us. We're going to be, whatever. They're like, we're going to be good if we go with Jesus. And so they weren't people that didn't have anything. They had things to leave behind. They had, farms. They had, like I said, Paul was a doctor. I think Matthew was a doctor, or Luke, one of them. But so these were people that had things that they had to consider. I got to leave my house that maybe I just built this house. Maybe my medical practice is going really well. I'm fishing, and I got this fishing boat, and who was that? Was that Peter that was the fisherman? I can't remember. When Jesus told him that, he's like, we've been fishing all night and didn't catch anything. And Jesus was like, well, throw your net on the other side of the boat. And they're like, it's nothing over there. But nevertheless, at your word, we'll go ahead and we'll launch out over there. And when they went out and threw the net on the side where Jesus told him, but first Jesus asked him for a favor. He said, let me use your boat to preach. So you have to imagine, if Jesus wanted the boat to preach, why? It wasn't because he was going to be talking to people in the water. It's because he needed a platform. So the boat would have been elevated where people could see him and hear him. So we don't know how many people would have been on the shore listening to Jesus preach. But you can imagine there's probably maybe 100 people, maybe not that many, but there was quite a few people that would have been there listening to Jesus preach. Otherwise, he could have just stood in the ground and maybe just, got a little rock or something to stand on. But the point I'm making is that, so he told him to do that. He throws the net out to the side. He pulls the net back in there. Remember, they had fished all night and they didn't catch not one single fish, not even like a sardine, y'all. They didn't catch anything. So when he throws the net on the other side of the boat, after Jesus said, let me borrow your boat, and he said, okay, and he's like, now let's go out and fish. And when the fish puts the nets in, there were so many fish. If you've ever watched that show, like, the thing where they fish for the fish in Alaska and stuff like that, they got the lobster creams, and they have those big giant fishing nets. So this is not a little net like you scoop a fish up like in this little pond here. These were big fisherman nets on boats. And the net was so heavy that the net started to break. So he had to call other fishermen, hey, come and help me. We've got so many fish. So now their boat was full of fish. The other fishermen's boats were full of fish. And it wasn't just one. It's not like he just said, hey, John, come over here with your boat. No, he called all the other fishermen. So you got to imagine that this was a fishing village or city or whatever, and they were in the business of fishing. And then, of course, these fish didn't just stay there. They sent the fish everywhere, right? So that's how powerful and how blessed they were with their businesses, that God continued to multiply them and multiply them. So all of this stuff where people think, well, you're not supposed to have money and be a Christian, that makes no sense. And the people that don't like mega churches, like I said, what you think heaven's going to be like? It's going to be the biggest mega church you've ever seen in your life. You think they'll walk from the parking lot at your church is far? Wait till you see the gate from the parking lot in heaven, right? So, of course, we assume there's not going to be any gates and no lines and no waiters and all of that. But you know how many people been saying they're going to die and go to heaven since Jesus. So that's over 2,000 years people been saying they're going to die and go to heaven. Now, however you think people get to heaven, that's a whole nother story for another day. Some people believe the second you die, your spirit kind of floats up to heaven. If you listen to Archie Bunker, he said your soul jumps out right before they slam the lid down on the casket. Your soul jumps out and floats up to heaven. So there's things, different people believe different things. But the point is that we're not supposed to be living in this paycheck to paycheck. Everybody's one check away from disaster. Like, you lose your job today, tomorrow you cannot pay anything. You can't pay anything, but you're at a job that you absolutely hate. Now, I'm not saying to quit your job. Don't go in there tomorrow and be like, this girl Cameron on Facebook told me to quit my job. I'm out. Don't do that. I did not tell y'all to quit your job. I'm just telling you that there's another way. See, when I used to work, right, when the last real job that I had, I worked at the Municipal Tax Bureau of Philadelphia. Now, I've done a couple of other little things here and there. I was doing insurance, a worker for Liberty Mutual and stuff like that. And I was doing store planning for Walmart for like 10 seconds. And so I've done other things. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 5. But I've always, even when I worked for other people, I still had my own thing. So this is the point that I'm making, is that there's a better way. So you don't have to hate your job. I loved my job at the tax bureau. I did not want to leave it. I loved everything about that job, except for the pay wasn't that great. But I loved everything. I loved my people, and I loved the culture. So when I created my first multi-million-dollar corporation, I decided that was the same kind of corporate culture that I wanted to have in that business, where people loved to come to work. They wanted to stay. They didn't mind coming in early and working late. And and it was it was that kind of focus where people really loved their jobs. Sorry, let me grab some water. So you don't have to quit your job to do this stuff. You can do this part-time. I'm going to go in the house. I'm about to make me some bacon and some pancakes. And I'm going to watch this show I've been watching, this British show, because I love British shows. I love me British telly, I do. I do. I love it so much. And I've been watching this show called Hotel Inspector. And what she does is goes around to all these different hotels. And she sees, like, if they're up to par and all that kind of stuff. And then she helps them get back on their feet. So... So anyway, hey Aaron, I saw that big giant bullfrog today. That's the first time I saw it. I've heard him, but that's the first time I saw it. So, yeah, all that, I love that job. Didn't want to leave it, but I left. Because I got married and I was still trying to stay there because it was tax season. And I was telling the old ex-husband, he's out of here. Yay. Excuse me. I was telling him, like, I don't want to leave because it's tax season. I don't want to leave them in the lurch. But he was living in Virginia and I was still living in Philly. And it was like a month. And he's like, no, let's go. Time for you to get out of there. So I left. Oh my God, I'm sorry. The wind started blowing because it's going to rain. I think I got some pollen stuck in my throat. But anyway, if y'all are ready to get off that struggle bus, if you're ready to have some changes in your life, maybe you're like me. I just wanted more money, more time, more freedom to travel because I'm a world traveler. Hey, if you don't know me, my name is Kara. I am a mom of 6. I'm a world traveler. I'm an empty nester, and I'm here to set people free from the stress and the strife and the daily grind and the 9 to 5 and anything that you don't like in your life that you would like to change. The year is ticking by. Christmas will be here before you know it. Will it be like last Christmas where you're trying to figure out how you're going to buy anybody anything and you'll be crying and struggling and all of that? Or like, you know, remember all the resolutions you made at the beginning of the year? Remember that? What happened to those? What happened to those? So this is a way. It's an easy way. It's a simple way. You can get started today. You can start with the $100 if you want to come and do the $100 program. We're teaching people how to make an income online. We're actually teaching high-level digital marketing skills. So if you go look on Harvard's website. Actually, you can Google colleges that teach digital marketing. Do you know they're charging like $6,000 for one course to learn digital marketing? Now guess what? You're not going to have to spend $6,000 here because we're doing the exact same thing, but not just from some professor who hasn't really done digital marketing. We're learning from 6- and 7-figure earners. We're learning from our millionaire mentor, right? We're learning from these people. We have 22 self-made millionaires in South Africa now. We have, I think, 5 people in the U.S. heading up to that $1 million mark. And this is only in a 2.5 year span, you guys. So I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. This program is written on a 5th grade level. So if you're smarter than the 5th grader, you don't even have to be that smart. All you got to do is be able to read because there's no MLM, so there's no trying to recruit people. You don't got to talk to your friends and family, try to get them into your little program because if you've done anything else, they're probably already sick of you anyway. You never have to talk to your friends and family. You don't have to go live like I'm going live. I just like going live and talking to people. And while I was listening to Victoria, I was just thinking of how many people don't know that God really cares about them and that he knows everything that they need and everything that they want. He knows the desires of your heart, right? And So I'm like, so many people don't know and they need to know. And so I'm just here to let y'all know. And all this stuff, again, about being broke, busted, and disgusted, like that's biblical. That's not biblical. That is not the Bible. There's nothing in the Bible about people being broke, busted, and disgusted. And I was saying earlier, people took this one scripture, took it out of context, and said, well, Jesus was poor. No, he wasn't. Jesus was not poor. Actually, two scriptures. So when he got all the apostles, and he was like, come on, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. He gave them that because they could understand what it was like to fish. So then they understood, like, okay, if we can fish for people and save people, that's why he gave them that analogy. Now, metaphor, analogy, whatever one it is, my daughter always tells me which one I'm saying wrong. But the point is, sorry, y'all. When he did that, he told them, the Son of Man, the Son of God, which is Jesus, doesn't have a place to sleep. Like, in other words, you're gonna pick up your stuff, you're gonna leave your house, your comfortable home. Maybe you just built this thing. You got a good medical practice going, Paul and I think Luke or Matthew, one of them, whoever were doctors. You got, farmers, fishermen with pretty successful businesses, and you're gonna leave all your stuff and you're gonna come and follow me. Now here's the catch. I don't know where we're going to sleep every night. He wasn't saying he didn't have a house to go to, because the disciples went to his house and had dinner. When they went to go find him at one point, they said they found him at his house celebrating the Sabbath, and that was his custom. So that was a custom. He had a house, right? He was saying, back then, it's not like it is now, right? You weren't walking through Jerusalem and you weren't going to find a motel on every corner. There was no Holiday Inn, no DoubleTree, no Four Seasons, none of that. So you were going to sleep wherever we ended up, that's where we're going to sleep. If it's a field, we're going to sleep in the field. If it's a barn, if it's a room that somebody's living, that's where we're going to sleep. So that's what he meant by the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. That meant because of the way they were traveling. So people are like, well, Jesus didn't have no house because Jesus said, I didn't know where he was going to sleep. No, that's not true. That's the other part. So there's other scripture they take out of context where it says, Jesus became poor for our sake. Yes, he did become poor for our sake, but not poor as in he didn't have any money. Poor as in, you gotta remember, Jesus is God in human form. So every single thing, he already owns it. He already owns it. So that would be like, whether you love this guy or hate this guy, Elon Musk, right? It would be like Elon owning all of his stuff, the richest man in the world, right? Owning everything. And then for the sake of his people saying, you know what? I'm going to give up what's rightfully mine to help other people. Now, I don't see that happening. But that's what it was. It wasn't like Jesus was rich. Jesus was God in human form. He could do anything he wanted to do, right? And so, but he was being an example for us. So that's why all the things he could have done, he didn't do. Like he told them, I could call down hellfire and kill all y'all right now, but I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I'm trying to teach humans how they are supposed to be. Humans cannot on their own call down hellfire, even if you're a witch or a Wiccan or any of that stuff, and kill a bunch of people. Now, that doesn't mean satanic stuff ain't real. I'm not going there. I'm going to the house to make these pancakes. So if you are tired of being broke, busted, and disgusted, if you would like to know how to make some money from your phone in a couple hours a day, the average inside of our community is $900 a day. I want you to go to the link in my bio. I want you to get your free guide for 10K in 30 days. And I want you to see if this program is for you. I'm going to send you an email. You're going to get started. You're not going to pay $300 today. You're going to do an installment and do 75, or you probably, depending on which plan, when you go in there, you'll see the plans. You might be able to start for even less than that today. But let's get going, my friends. Now, that's only if you're in the U.S. If you're not in the U.S., you cannot do the installments. Well, I don't have my system set up for you to be in due installments. I don't think that's not an option. So, if you're in the U.S., you can do installments. If not, you can do the $300 if you want to pay in full, or you can just do the $100 and then make your $100 back because you get 100% profit, and then level up and get the next thing. All right. So that's it, y'all. Let me say a prayer for you real quick. And this is thanks to my man. I usually pray, but he asked me one day, he was like, do you pray before you go live? I said, no, I mean, I say my morning prayer, like, you know, bless me, Lord, and bless my business and things like that, but I don't say a specific prayer before I go live. But I have prayed for people on my live. So we're going to do a little bit of both this today, all right? So here we go. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you that your mercy and your goodness are new each and every morning. Thank you for health and strength. And thank you, Lord, for being able to share a little bit of what you've shown me to other people. I don't know who needs to hear this. I don't know who may be hurt or needing help in any way, Lord. I ask you to heal anybody that has any ailments from the top of their heads to the soles of their feet. Bless them, bless their families, bless their children, bless their businesses. Lord, if anybody is struggling emotionally or psychologically or anything with their mental health, Lord, I just ask you to touch their minds, renew their minds, Lord. Help them without needing to go through a whole bunch of years of different things, Lord. Just heal them instantly. Heal everybody, whatever's ailing them, anything in their body. Heal Glenn's knee, heal my knees, heal every single person that is on this live, every single friend and follower that I have on Facebook, the thousands of people that are following me, that are friends of mine, that are fans of my fan pages. Lord, heal them. The 70-something thousand people inside of my group, Lord, heal all of those people. Lord, make us all so that we can see your will, and that you help us to make our will agreeable to your will, so you can give us the desires of our heart. And bless this live, everybody under the sound of my voice. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, y'all, I am out of here. I hope you have an absolutely lovely day. Hey, Abel, get with me. Try to think if I can find something for you to do right now, friend. But Abel is another one of the people that is getting started in this program, all the way from Kenya. Listen, I've got people from Kenya, Qatar, Ghana, all over the world. And inside of our program, we have people from Canada, Mexico, the Netherlands, Australia, the UK, New Zealand. I'm telling you, this is a global program. Get started. Hit that link in my bio. Go to my website, www.teampaydaily.com. And I'll talk to y'all later. Ciao for now. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.